is DDS. We're your hosts, Blake Melton, Bradley Newberry, real fans, real sports talk, no BS. Matthew Parker, he has the day off. Lazy son of a bitch.
No, I know what it is. He had a tough game in Nashville.
Yeah,
the old season ticket holder.
He doesn't want to talk about it right now.
Welcome everyone to our NFL reaction show. Blake, we're bringing back our B.O.Ds.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this, actually. B.O.D, for those of you who don't know, it's our beer of the day. We select a local brewery, and we take one of their selections on the show. We split a beer.
Yeah. We
drink it during the show. We give our take on it at the very end after we get done.
This fine brewery was established in 2014. Mill Creek. We're coming to you first. Today we'll be sampling the Oktoberfest from Mill Creek Brewing Company. Go ahead and pop this top.
Oh, is there a better sound?
In your glass. And then we'll move on to the Tennessee Titans.
The man, the myth, the legend glass. Oh boy, look at that. Oktoberfest. Nice little head on that one. All right. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off.
So here we go. We're going to go to Nashville, Tennessee. Sunday started off as a nice, sunny Sunday day. And then on the Titans' second possession, Ryan Tannehill throws an interception, trying to force the ball into A.J. Brown. This interception was returned all the way to the 6-yard line. And the rest of the day was dark, gloomy, rain, cloudy. Tannehill finishes with a career-high 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles. The Titans lose 22-13 to the worst team in the NFL, the Houston Texans. My first question that I would pose to you and Parker is, are you worried yet? And that's not about the Titans. Are you worried yet about the inconsistent play of Tannehill? Because I ask it every week. I see a pick every week, and we saw 4 of them this week.
So, am I worried about Tannehill? Not yet, is what I'll say. It's concerning. Don't get me wrong. Anytime anybody throws 4 interceptions, I mean, the way I've been describing it to people is this is one of the worst played games I think I've seen in all of football, college and pro. And I think it was on all levels. Like, there was play calling I didn't understand, offensive scheme that I didn't understand, and decisions on the field that I didn't understand. So I'm sitting here looking, and you said it, there was a large effort that was made for whatever reason to force the ball into A.J. Brown. And the big number that I look at with Tannehill, because Tannehill is not the guy that needs to be dropping back 50 times. And whenever he's 35 of 52, that's not who he is. He's not a force the ball down the field guy. We were running the ball, I thought, halfway decently at times.
I mean, AP had a couple of good runs.
Yeah.
Then he had to go take his nap.
We had 2 or 3 guys that were averaging right at 4 yards a pop, and we would just get down there in short yardage situations and try to run some little stupid, like, off-tackle play. And I'm like, dude, you have a quarterback who is durable enough that he can do a sneak.
Was that off-tackle Quessenberry? Parker, one of your favorites?
I don't think so.
Or was it Lawan? Because that guy had a bad game too. What's he doing with all these penalties? I mean,
penalties.
Like
the penalties are inexcusable.
Piles and geez.
The penalties are inexcusable. Maybe there's only 5 penalties for 52 yards. That was not what lost them the game.
No, it was not.
The offensive line didn't lose the game.
No, they did not.
I think it was a bad game plan. So the coaching staff has a huge problem, in my opinion.
Special teams didn't help out.
No, they did not. They did not.
Chester can't catch the ball. Rodgers.
Well, that was weird. I don't. He was trying to get out of the way, but in my opinion, dude, you're a pro. Get out of the fucking way.
We've heard some people say the weather is to blame for the Titans.
It's not to blame. But I think it needs to be taken into account when you're calling plays and you're running the ball fine, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, it's raining, so this looks like a great time to throw the ball 50 times down the field. I mean, come on.
You know who we're not mentioning to place blame for? The defense.
The defense continually
Yes.
gave them a chance to come back and get back in the game.
And I will read from Parker's take here. He sent me via text.
Yeah, and before you get to that, the stats, if you take away these interceptions, Tennessee should have won this game running away. But the problem is we would get into a good spot on the field. We would get into their territory, and then all of a sudden we would try these stupid downfield plays, and you could tell by the way the ball was coming out of Tannehill's hand. He didn't have a grip on the ball. And I just think it was a flawed game plan to begin with. Our identity is not pass heavy. We have to be balanced at worst, if not run bias. And I think we could have done that, and I think we could have easily beaten the Houston Texans without having to throw the ball down the field. So, am I worried about Tannehill? Not yet. Now, I will say this. Games like this cannot happen but once a year. They can't.
But they already have happened twice this year for the Titans.
I know. I'm talking about specifically for Tannehill, though. I'm talking about multiple interception games cannot happen and expect to win.
Understood.
But like you just mentioned, the Titans, for whatever reason, are always prone to losing these types of games to teams that they should never even think about losing to in a million years. I yield the floor to you.
All right. Go ahead and sample some of that Mill Creek.
Yeah, I need
while I read Parker's take here. Of course, he was at the game, being the season ticket holder. Mm-hmm. Weather does not bother him. He's always there. As far as the Titans defense looked great. Of the Texans' 12 drives, 9 were less than 10 yards. The Titans' offense looked terrible. But we talked about it. This was a 100% letdown spot, a sandwich spot. Reminded me of the Jets game. Top 4 pass catchers were out. Tannehill was literally telling receivers where and how to run their routes. Not letting him off the hook because he looked terrible. But it has to be said that he was playing in a downpour without his top 4 pass catchers. At the end of the day, yes, this was a loss, but the Tennessee Titans still own the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean,
that's true.
That's there's nothing incorrect, I wouldn't say there, but you can't throw 4 interceptions ever in the NFL, ever. Now, what it's going to be now is, can Tannehill put this behind him and move forward? Because I mean, a game that bad, because it was bad. It was that bad, can mess with a player's psyche. And
I think he's veteran enough that it won't, though. I
mean, you hope so, but the other thing is, though, is I hope that he stands up in the quarterback room and has his say about, guys, we can't just push the ball down the field. I don't care how bad. These are NFL teams. They're all very talented players. We can't push the ball down the field all the time. They know that A.J. Brown is the main target, so they're going to be all over him. So they've got to get back to a little bit more of a balanced attack on offense. They got to get some guys healthy. I don't know what. I don't have anything to say about that.
Have some patience with that one, because as good as the news is with Derrick Henry possibly coming back in January, you still got to go through some meat and potatoes here.
Yeah.
November, December. There's a lot of football to be played before you start to see or get any hints of Derrick Henry coming back.
Yeah. I mean, there were some wide receivers that played okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Westbrook, Akina, he had him a 100-yard game. Great. AJ, I don't know what the status is on his injury update. I mean, he had some kind of chest injury or something.
I think we'll learn more about him as the week progresses. They have a big one. Big one against the Patriots coming up. Julio Jones, you can't count on him, as Parker said.
No, not at all. I mean,
the tight ends are.
Well, we don't have it like 2 or 3. Where we had like 6 at one point a couple of years ago. Now we got rid of them all. How's Jonnu doing? We're about to find out. We're about to find out how Jonnu's doing out in New England. Got a bad feeling about that game, by the way. But yeah, I'm not worried yet.
Okay.
But I've definitely got my eye on things because there are some things that have got to change.
I'm not sure that anyone much is worried about the team Titans. Got a little article here from Yahoo Sports. And the heading says, Crying Tannehill. I don't think that he literally cried, but it says, I don't know who misses Derrick Henry more, fantasy owners or Tennessee Titans Ryan Tannehill. Coming off of 2 straight wins against the Rams and top 10 defense and the Saints, Tannehill was QB number 11 in the points per game during that span. And then we all saw what happened to the Texans. Julio Jones on IR, A.J. Brown in and out of the game with injuries. What does the forecast look like? Is what the Yahoo author is asking here. And it doesn't get any easier with a trip to New England. The Patriots just don't allow
it's a tough
for
place
quarterbacks to do much. You're going to have to lean on the run game.
Which is what they should be doing anyway.
Should, but I mean, AP can only stay awake for a half.
I don't look, man. All I need for him to do is stay awake a quarter because we got other running backs that can do some stuff. That's the problem. I mean, a good running game makes all quarterbacks better. That's the point to this. Right now, we don't have one because we're not calling that many running plays. We do a lot of little slip screens and all that kind of stuff. It's very predictable stuff. That and we got to get better in short yardage. There's no getting around that. Yeah. There's no getting around that.
He's talking to you, Quessenberry.
I don't care who it is. We can't have stupid, untimely penalties. We can't make stupid play calls whenever we're in short yardage. I mean, we're 4th in inches and we're trying to run off tackle.
And your tackles are your weakest part of your offensive line?
It's like literally tell Tannehill to put his helmet up Ben Jones's ass and just fall forward.
I don't disagree.
Like, golly, keep a drive going.
In conclusion, you have now joined the Jacksonville Jaguars and the only team to lose to the Houston Texans.
It's just the AFC. It makes the AFC South look bad.
Oh, they are bad. Ryan Tannehill now owns in sole possession of first place in the most interceptions thrown this year with 12. He has 9 interceptions thrown in the last 6 games. His QBR is now 54, which makes it lower than Jameis Winston. Tua, Wentz, his rating at 86.1 is lower than Trevor Siemian, Jalen Hurts, Tua, Matt Ryan. I still would rather have Tannehill. But all I'm saying is the stats are the stats, and Tannehill is not playing well right now. The Tennessee Titans need you, Tannehill, to kind of stable the ship a little bit. It's rocky. It's rocky right now. We need you to stabilize it.
Do you think that Tannehill he likes to play that kind of fast pace sometimes. Do you think he gets a little bit ahead of himself sometimes?
Could be, but maybe he's ahead of himself because of the play call.
Maybe.
He maybe can stay.
Maybe he feels like he has to go fast to try to catch him off guard.
Maybe he can stay more in rhythm if you get the running game going.
Maybe.
But
maybe.
Yeah, it's rocky, and you're headed up to New England. But,
we'll see. See if Vrabel can pull something out.
Let me tell you what's worse than rocky right now. Let's take on a little jet flight to TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, Florida, where the Jacksonville Jaguars were straight up dominated by the San Francisco 49ers 30-10, but that's not the worst here, Blake. San Francisco scored on its first 5 possessions, including a historical 20-play, 13-minute drive that almost wiped out the entire first quarter clock.
I mean, I'm sitting here looking at the stats.
I need a drink of Mill Creek beer.
Seriously. I mean, basically, the 49ers could have done anything they wanted against the Jaguars. The Jaguars had 200 yards of total offense. 200 yards.
Defense.
200 yards.
They have no receivers. And I was going to tell you.
They don't have any running backs either.
I was going to tell you a little bit later about another casualty to their receiver room.
Yeah, I mean, they even handed the ball off a little more than usual. Gave him Robinson 12 carries of 29 yards.
Not good.
Not good at all.
Less than 3 a carry.
No, I mean, Trevor Lawrence 16 to 25, 158. I mean, like you said, I just don't know that he has it. He doesn't have any weapons really to throw to.
Absolutely none.
I mean, Chenault's is his only real weapon, and he's a slot guy. I mean, he's a possession guy.
That's 3 weeks in a row. Trevor has had 0 touchdowns and 0 picks. So I mean, it's just nothing. There's nothing.
It's a bad system. I don't know how many times we can just keep saying that. It's just a bad system. It's not a daggone pro system. It's just not. Deebo Samuel just.
He was running the ball. Look at the rushing yards.
79 rushing yards.
Yes. The wide receiver. I mean, whatever they wanted.
What do you really? I mean, exactly. They literally were just doing whatever they want.
I mean, look. Here's
who
what
fumbled. Jacksonville had 2 fumbles. Who fumbled? I can't remember.
The entire coaching staff.
Yeah, the ownership when they hired Urban Meyer.
Here's what Trevor Lawrence said. I mean, this guy. Remember, he's a rookie, but it feels like wise beyond his years. The way he talks, the way he acts, the way he interacts with his teammates. And here's what he said after the game. Look, guys, not much to say. We just got to keep going.
Yeah.
The season is not going to get canceled. We just got our butt kicked today. Which is true.
Yeah.
I mean he's playing them one at a time and he's keeping it real. Real talk, no BS. He's like, man, he's like, look, nobody's going to feel sorry for us, okay? The season's not going to get canceled. We just got it handed to us.
Yeah, I mean, that is a professional, a mature professional statement. Look, we are professionals. We are paid to do this. The season's not going anywhere. We got to finish this out. We got to figure something out.
I'm glad I
really like Trevor Lawrence. I really do. It's just I hate the situation he's in.
I'm glad I got a few professionals, but for the Jaguars, and this isn't all Urban Meyer's fault, obviously, but now they have lost 14 straight games to NFC teams. And as I mentioned, another casualty in the wide receiver room, Jamal Agnew.
Oh, no.
Season-ending IR. I mean, there goes
another
any
worse?
I mean,
y'all going to have half the practice squad up on the
You got LaVisca and Dan Arnold at tight end. And poor Robinson's out there on one ankle, basically. Still trying. But that was that. I mean, we all 3 predicted San Fran to win.
Yeah.
And
pretty handily.
Exactly what happened. It was over. I mean, by the time the Jaguars touched the ball, the first quarter was over. And they went 3 and out. So much for that.
Did they even get a first down?
Oh, no. Nah, none of that. First downs.
They had to warm up again.
Get out of here with all that. We'll move on to Dallas. Had to visit the Kansas City Chiefs. We were split on this game, and Kansas City ended up winning. I don't think that this game lived out to what we thought. We thought it'd be an offensive type game, but I saw some defensive plays.
Yeah, this was not at all the kind of game that everybody was hoping it was going to be, with Dak versus Patrick, I mean, thought it was going to be just a shootout. I mean, to be honest with you, neither guy had like a particularly standout game. But I will say that this game, I didn't get the feeling that this game was particularly close when I was watching it.
It didn't really feel that way.
It just
Ezekiel left for a minute with a little injury.
Yeah.
In the second, I believe. Yeah,
I mean, both teams had some turnovers. I mean, there were 5 turnovers in the game between the 2 teams. It was, I don't know, it wasn't a real pretty game to watch. It wasn't exactly what the NFL was wanting, I don't think, whenever they put these 2 teams on primetime. They thought they were going to have, 9 touchdowns between the 2 teams and big offensive plays, and it just really wasn't. You know, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, 23 of 37, 260 with an interception.
Yeah, no touchdowns.
No touchdowns. None.
Because I was hoping for some to Tyreek.
I mean,
for
and I think what really kind of helped him out was Edwards-Helaire is back.
Yeah.
He had
there
a decent game.
There's the run game.
12 carries for 63 yards, averaging 5.2.
See, just enough. Just a little bit of a running game helps everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it does. A decent running game helps all quarterbacks. I mean, obviously Tyreek Hill's still doing his thing and Travis Kelce. So, I mean, he's got some weapons there. That's ultimately just kind of what played out for him. And Dak just didn't. He had Dak is struggling coming back. I think he's struggling a little bit coming back.
I thought he's looked pretty good, though. He is we mentioned on a previous podcast, not only probably hands down comeback player of the year, but he's up there, was up there for potential MVP type talk, but you got to keep winning to keep your name up in those talks.
Yeah, and I think Tyron Smith was out, his left tackle.
He was.
His all-pro left tackle. Amari Cooper was out. I mean, he had some people missing, and I don't have any information on how many drops there were or anything like that, but it just seems to me like something was just a little bit off. But all in all, I mean, like I said, I don't feel like this was that close of a game.
But yeah, mentioning that some offensive line holes that allowed for Chris Jones to rack up a career high 4 sacks.
Jeez.
Against Dak Prescott. But I mean, that's kind of what happens when you're missing your starters. You have to be able to scheme that up a little bit because you know they're missing. You know the talent that's on the other end. So
it's no secret.
No secret. He may have been holding the ball a little too long there.
Yeah.
Trying to get more down the field with CeeDee Lamb and others.
Sure.
But these two teams are very similar now. One 7-4, the other 7-3.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't seen the last of these teams. They're both going to be in the postseason, I would safely say.
Oh, easily, I would say.
Let's go back to the AFC and a team that we've talked about a few times, the Indianapolis Colts.
Yep.
Indianapolis Colts, they had to go up to Bills Mafia in Buffalo, New York, and they straight up went in there and dominated, man. You mentioned if you could just have just a little bit of a running game, then great. But
what if you have a lot of a running game?
The Colts,
they have a thoroughbred.
Look, Derrick Henry's out.
Yeah.
So Jonathan Taylor, we've been mentioning his name, I mean, all year, well ahead of this point, well ahead of Derrick Henry going out. But this man single-handedly beat my ass at fantasy football with like a top 8 ever performance in fantasy football with some ungodly 50-something points by himself.
Yeah.
5 touchdowns, right? 4 on the ground and one receiving.
Yeah, that's correct.
Holy moly. I mean, talk about Wentz being a lucky man.
I mean, he didn't have to do very much. He was 11 of 20 for 106 yards and a touchdown. So, but that's the point. I mean, having that kind of running back makes you a better quarterback. And, I mean, it was ugly on the Bills side. I mean, they had 4 turnovers. Ugh.
Josh Allen definitely looks like a quarterback that's pressing things.
He is. I mean, dude, they don't run the ball. I mean, we're talking about running the ball. They don't run the ball.
Well, they refuse to.
They don't even try.
And I think they have 2 capable backs.
I think they do too.
With Singletary and Moss, I think they're capable.
They had it a combined. They were handed off a combined 6 times.
Not good enough.
6 times. That's terrible.
How many rushes did Allen have?
2.
No.
I mean, Josh Allen, he finished 21 of 35, 209, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Ugh.
Yeah, no.
Not good numbers there. It's hard to win with 4 turnovers in a game.
I'm about to say that this could be a potential rematch type scenario. Rematch alert in the playoffs coming up. And honestly, when I step back and think about it, this was the exact same matchup that we saw in last year's playoffs. Indy at Buffalo. Buffalo wins the game pretty tight game there. But these two teams could meet again, and if teams can't figure out the Wentz Jonathan Taylor and Wentz doesn't have to do much formula, then the Colts might have something brewing here.
I mean, like Derrick Henry, I mean, even if you know it's coming, it's hard to stop. So, I mean, you're exactly right. If they can't figure out the Jonathan Taylor thing, they're going to run roughshod. I mean, they are right now. They're looking, much as I hate saying it as an AFC South guy, Colts are looking pretty good right now.
Sneaky. Yep. So another team that kind of snuck up on the Green Bay Packers this week. This was a fun game, though. 34-31, Minnesota actually beats Green Bay in a game that I was saying don't trust Cousins, because it's, even though it wasn't a primetime game, it's still a big game for the Minnesota Vikings, and I mistakenly put him on my bench for Russell Wilson, which also didn't help my case in fantasy football this week. But Kirk Cousins looked good throwing the ball to Jefferson, which 3 weeks ago, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, we said they need to get him the ball. Get the ball in the hands of the playmakers. Minnesota's finally doing it the last 2 weeks against the Chargers and Green Bay here. Dalvin Cook, steady Eddie. But this is more along the line, a fun game for NFL fans to watch, with a total of 64 total points being scored.
Yeah, this was a fun game. What can you say, really? I mean, this is, neither team, I would say, particularly had a bad moment. There wasn't anybody that did bad. Quarterbacks played well. Like you said, Kirk Cousins, 24-35, 341 with 3 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook, 22 carries for 86 yards. I mean, golly, that's a winning recipe. Then Jefferson, 8 receptions for 169 yards. Somebody guard that guy. Good grief.
I think they were trying.
They were failing.
This Green Bay defense was coming off of a shutdown game coming into this week.
This was one of the more entertaining games. It was an entertaining game to watch. A lot of offense. Two talented teams. I wouldn't say their record indicates either one of them are that great.
Green Bay 8-3.
Yeah,
I mean,
they are now.
They are the class of the NFC North.
I mean, dude,
Minnesota's trying to get in there to sneak into one of those wild card spots.
Yeah, they're trying to make a little statement here for sure.
Aaron Rodgers will always be the story of Green Bay. So
yeah, he's the man until somebody takes it from him.
Yeah, Minnesota took it from him. One more that we wanted to react to, Brandon. This one is for you. The Las Vegas Raiders fall to the Cincinnati Bengals, and this was a game that Parker and I differed on a little bit. He went with the Raiders. He said it has to be a bounce back spot, or you're going to fall into the same old story of the last 2 years. Remember him giving us those stats?
Yep.
And I said, look, Cincinnati -1 feels like the easiest pick on the board. You're telling me you just basically just have to straight up win. Parker doesn't like the Cincinnati coach, but this game wasn't really close either. What was it, 32-13?
32-13. Yep. Not particularly close. I mean, time of possession was really lopsided in favor of the Bengals. 37 minutes versus 22 for the Raiders. A lot of penalties on the Raiders side, 7 for 77. Never helps. They win the turnover battle against the Raiders as well. I mean, Joe Burrow, 20 of 29, 148, not gaudy numbers by any means, but having Joe Mixon behind you with 123 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns.
There you go. I think that's 2 weeks in a row he's had multiple touchdowns.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got a lot of guys he can throw to out there. So, I mean, he's got a good situation out there. And, David Carr just 19 of 27, 215, and an interception.
Derek Carr.
Who did I say? David?
His brother.
David. D.
Carr.
Yeah, D. Carr. But anyways, the running game came really, again, a good running back makes a lot of quarterbacks better.
So are the Raiders, because I said in the prediction show that I feel like we're right in the middle of the collapse. This is another loss. Is it really happening? I mean, the collapse is happening, right? Because now this is 3.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's happening.
I think you can officially say so because it's not just that they're losing. They're losing, and I mean, I think it was a fairly convincing loss, personally.
And now they have to go on a short week, Brandon. I know you're excited to see them on Thanksgiving Day, and we won't get to do a prediction on them, but Vegas has to turn around quick, and they're going to be on prime time against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. And I don't think that's a good spot.
And I think the Dallas Cowboys are pissed right now because they should be playing better.
They may eat that turkey bone dry and then turn that sumbitch sideways and stick it straight up your Las Vegas Raiders ass.
Man.
So the Raiders are bad.
Yeah.
But guess what I thought was good? If you want to do a little review of
I would
Mill
love
Creek.
to. So this might be my favorite Mill Creek beer. It's got, I kind of get a little fruity hit to it, a little citrusy, like a lot of Oktoberfest beers are. A little bit heavier beer, not your typical light beer or anything like that. A little darker, if you will. I really appreciated it. It had a little sweetness to it. I could drink those all day, which is dangerous to me. So I really appreciate it. I think this is one that I probably will enjoy over and over and over.
I think a lot of people would enjoy it. The Oktoberfest from Mill Creek, Nolensville, Tennessee. Keep it local, folks.
Yep. Go check them out on Instagram. Go check them out at your local grocer. Hopefully they'll have it. If not, maybe they could hook you up with something.
Oh, they'll have it.
Don't you worry.
It's a good beer.
It's very good.
This was a good reaction show.
Yes, it was. That was a reaction show, my friend. It was a rough. Football's getting weird, man. It's getting in that time of year where it's weird.
It's playoff season. Every game matters just a little bit more. And when you lose to the Texans, it sucks.
Yep.
So
both the Titans and the Jaguars now know about that.
Everyone's kind of down here in Tennessee, but man, they got coaching will be tested this week. Parker would say this is a classic spot where they bounce back up and bite somebody.
That is a very Parker thing to say.
You know what I'm saying?
He said this game this last weekend scared him. I guarantee you he would say this is the kind of game that they would bounce back on.
He says this is a Vrabel game. A little Patriots action in there with Vrabel. I guarantee he's going to pick the Titans this week.
Goodness gracious. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining us on this, our NFL reaction show. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at DDS Sports Talk. Tell us what you think about the Titans' loss. I can't believe I'm having to say this, but are the Titans frauds?
No, not yet.
Not yet. I think so, too. Tell us what you think. Any closing comments?
Thank you, Mill Creek.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mill Creek, for your wonderful beer here. Be sure to check it out at your local grocer. Anything else?
No.
All right, guys. Have a great Thanksgiving. You guys be well.